Hello, 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 hello. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up, what's up, what's up? Okay, it's gonna be an interesting one today. Let me know if audio is good. Let me know if, I probably need to go to, let me get a camera going. Hold on. Let's get a camera going. There we go. There he is. All right, let's get our screens under control. This is not a stream. Normally I tell you guys that this is my favorite time of the day. That this is my favorite day of the week. That this is my favorite activity to do on any given week. Today, that's not really the case. I don't find this fun. I don't find this particularly enjoyable. I just find it important. And I wrote down, I don't normally do this, but I wrote things down because it is very important to communicate a very specific way. And so I have like an introduction that I'm going to read. I have points, 5 primary points that we're going to go through together. I'm going to give you my official argument and position because it's taken out of context and misrepresented so often. That's the favorite tactic of the crowd that is opposed to what I have to say is take things out of context, misstate the actual positions, gaslight, and insult. That's what they do. That's their favorite recipe. That's their favorite formula, okay? So we're gonna make sure that we communicate very clearly today. I'm going to tell you why this stream is happening. And then we're going to take a look at some videos. We're going to take a look at 2 videos in particular, because these videos provide a mountain of evidence for the things that I've been saying for years and years and years. And I think any rational human being that watches it will immediately realize, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's move on. Let's stop having and entertaining this absurdity, this non-debate, okay? Because that's what it is. It's a non-debate. There is a hidden agenda in this debate from the other side, which we will start to reveal today. But I think you're just going to start to realize that this has nothing to do with me, and this has a lot to do with others. But you will be the judge. You will be the judge. I'm looking at the chat real quick. Everybody looks good. Before we can do anything, we have to test a secondary aspect of the audio, which is, can you hear a video that I play? Okay, I'm gonna check, make sure that I have the audio. Let's see, we can't get too far into this and then find that we can't play the things that we need to play, okay? Let's go to sound levels, duo, main stereo. That should be good. So I am going to go to this gentleman right here. This is Akeem. If you don't know Akeem, he's amazing. I love Akeem. Okay, I can't get enough of Akeem. You know I've been into chess lately, right? Let me share my screen here. Let me share the screen. Okay, this is Akeem. I've been into chess very deep. Not for a ton of time, like just the past few weeks and such, okay? I'm around like a 500 ELO at this point, and I'm working my way up. Akeem is amazing. I'm gonna play a little bit of this is just an audio test. I just needed a rando video to test audio. So you guys gotta tell me if you can hear Akeem or not. But if you are into chess, you've got to go subscribe to Akeem's channel because he's awesome. Okay, so
It's no secret that the Sicilian defense is the most aggressive way to respond to e4. Today I'm going to be showing you the Khan variation of the Sicilian defense, and I want to show you guys some variations that we're going to be looking
at. Okay, so can we hear this? Can we hear it? I know there's a little bit of a delay. I have to wait for the confirmation. I'm hoping you just say yes and we can move on and we don't have to work out any technical difficulties. Okay, fantastic. All right. So yeah. Go Go subscribe to Akeem. He's fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll go back to camera for just a minute. And we will go ahead and I'm just going to read this intro real quick. Again, I wanted to make sure that this is too important to just go off the cuff and just off the top of my head and try to best communicate, like, and potentially forget some things and say things in a way that I didn't intend to say them. Okay, so here we go. Before we dive into the stream, I want to be crystal clear about what this is and what this isn't. This is not a critique, because I know this is how people are going to attack this. They're going to attack this. It is 1,000. They are going to pretend that this is a moral failure of some sort, that this is just despicable behavior, that they are going to come up with every excuse, every crocodile tear you've ever seen in your life. They will produce it because of this, okay? So this is what you just have to understand. That's why it has to have a disclaimer. This is not a critique of somebody for failing to meet professional standards, as we say. We talk about professional standards a lot. This is not a critique of somebody for failing to meet professional standards. Mistakes happen. We all start somewhere. Imperfection is not a disqualification. My own sites certainly are not perfect. I don't care where you are at in your journey, or where anybody is at in their journey, whether they're a beginner or an intermediate or advanced, or how much money they charge or how much work they do. As long as you are willing to learn and practice and improve, because those are very important. Those are very, very important factors, okay? What this is a critique of somebody, and anybody who would fall into the same category, who actively rejects the standards, who claims that the standards are just meaningless opinions, and who turns all accountability over to tools. Those are very different types of people, okay? This is also an expose on agencies and freelancers who sell shoddy work to unsuspecting clients, and influencers who build entire audiences and courses and careers on the explicit message that best practices are unnecessary or overkill or elitist. This is not about who is a better developer. This is not about ego. This is not about personal beef or picking on somebody for sport. I have been debating, I think his name is pronounced Reno, and others who share his stance literally for years. And in all that time, they have flat out refused to acknowledge the importance of standards or the necessity of understanding what you're doing as a provider of professional services. Instead, they double down on their position that the tools do all of the work and anyone can do it, and clients don't really care. This is the narrative that they repeat over and over and over again. Recently, though, Reno didn't just double down on this narrative. He literally tried to say that he teaches what I teach, and that his work and his content largely meet the standards that I have been advocating for. This was yet another completely dishonest attempt to dismiss me, to manipulate viewers and manipulate the conversation. I am going to show you part of this, okay? This is all publicly available, by the way. I'm not showing you DMs or text messages or anything else. Let me pull up 2 of these screenshots. So I said, let me see if you guys can see. Screen and cam. Let's go ahead and, can we get this to be full screen? Can we zoom in a little bit? You guys should be able to see this, okay? So we were in a discussion, and I was trying to make what I thought was a very, very common sense point, that development is not designing. Now he came about because he was saying that people should stay in their lane, essentially. They should play to their strengths. And what he was trying to say is, as a designer, I'm playing to my strengths by using these no-code tools like Elementor, because it helps me bring my things to life, or whatever the point was. But I said, development is not designing. You're a designer, not a developer. You said people should stick to their strengths. You're not sticking to your strengths. There's no debate here. Designing the thing and building the thing are 2 separate areas of expertise. And then, of course, he calls me a hypocrite because he always goes about, it's never like, can we just talk about the point? Why are we talking about me? Why are we nitpicking words? Can we just talk about the point? They'll do anything to avoid talking about the point. But then he says, and no, development has little to do with code, dude. Code has something to do with development. Check your I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. So I just asked, so design and development are the same skill set? ? You are playing to your strengths as a designer by doing dev? And so he makes the statement, in 2025, design and no-code development overlap heavy. That's what all page builder companies have proven. They literally have turned code into a visual interface. This is why millions of designers now also develop. And then again, it's back to attacking me. Got to attack me. Got to say, black and white reasoning. You thinking lacks nuance. No-code tools will take more and more small and medium projects. No code will only grow from here, so you're fighting an uphill battle. He's not talking about outcomes in terms of the people he's teaching, in terms of clients, as we're going to see in a minute. A lot of the outcomes that actually we care about, he's not talking about at all. What he's talking about is designers who don't know what they are doing are going to take over your industry, and you better like it. And you better accept it, and you better get okay with it, because that's what's going to happen. He doesn't talk about best outcomes for the people who are doing the work in this industry. He doesn't talk about the best outcomes for clients. He talks about the best outcome for people like him. That's what he's concerned about, is his own outcome, right? Okay, so listen, it would be much better for you to acknowledge the majority of the market, try to convince it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now I'm going to show you another. Here. All right, now I just decided, hey, why don't we turn this around a little bit? What if I, as a developer, tried to make the same arguments from a design perspective? And I said, well, that's like me saying I'm a designer because of Canva templates, right? You don't know any of the relevant principles. You actively refuse to learn. It's absurd to call yourself a developer or claim you're doing development. You assemble things with shoddy corner-cutting tools, much like if a lawyer literally pulled legal templates and sold them to clients. It's bad practice. And this is where it got wild. Sure, there will be things that I'm not aware of. Things? Like, you mean like everything, right? You mean like everything. But I checked most of your principles. I already teach that stuff for the most part, especially soon with V4. Well, we're going to take a look at V4. We're going to take a look at V4, okay? Canva and graphic design should be compared to Squarespace or Wix, not to WordPress and Elementor. Elementor is pro compared to true amateur tools that ignore all best principles. But he doesn't even know the best principles. How is he saying? We're going to see in just a minute. This is all circular logic. It's like the person with no skills vetting the person with no skills saying that they have skill. It's craziness. There isn't that much. Here we go. I mean, you guys know how technical our industry is. You guys know how technical development is, how deep it goes, how fast it moves, how much. Okay, there isn't that much depth needed for many websites, because I do actually check out your stuff from time to time. So you can act like you have so many more things that I don't know. I've never said that. Tell you what I said. You got to misrepresent. Can't just have a conversation, okay? This was never about what you know or he knows or they know or whatever. This is literally about people learning versus people going, there's no reason to learn. That's their argument. There's no reason to learn. That's their position. That is fundamentally completely different. This is not about how much does one person know. It's about their willingness to know, right? Okay, now I said, so now you teach what I teach. And then I said, come on, you have zero receipts for that claim. And you know there's a mountain of evidence that proves the opposite. And he says, again, gotta go back to attack me. Another black and white answer, okay? What does that even mean? But yes, I do. Most of the stuff here I already teach. Now he links to this article right here, okay? Web design mistakes, ultimate list. So I have this huge list of hey, let's just stop doing these things. Let's just stop doing these things, and you can dramatically improve the work that you're doing, right? I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's very, very detailed. He has the audacity to suggest that he doesn't do these things. He's got it buttoned up. He's tight, clean as a whistle, I guess, right? He's saying, hey, I already do most of that stuff. Kevin, I teach what you teach for the most part. I adhere to these best practices and principles. But the idea that you would say that when you know it's not true. You know it's not true. And you know there's a mountain of evidence disproving these literal comments right here. So yeah, I have to do a live stream and we have to look at this together. When claims like this are just outlandishly made. Okay? So let me go back here. So unlike many of Reno's other claims, this one is clear and substantial. Has a mountain of evidence, should have a mountain of evidence to back it up, right? So we're going to examine the evidence in this stream. I will say one more time, this is not a personal attack on Reno. It's an examination of an absurd and manipulative claim. And as we examine this claim, we are going to expose the absurdity of the entire no-code narrative, one that's been repeated across thousands of videos from multiple creators, reaching hundreds of thousands of aspiring developers, a narrative that says you don't need to learn or practice standards. There's no need to worry about craftsmanship. The tools do the work. You just need to know where to click, and clients don't really care how it all comes together. If you want to sum up and package up the lie with a bow, that's essentially the heart of the lie. It's an irresponsible narrative that shapes the belief systems of an entire generation of aspiring professionals. And there are two real primary victims of this narrative, which is why it's so important to challenge and correct it. This is not opinions. There are real consequences. There are real people who are affected. There are real businesses who are affected. This comes at the cost of hundreds of millions of dollars collectively. So the first group is literally you, the people watching this right now, the audience, the people trying to learn, the people trying to do good work in this industry, but who are routinely led astray by influencers who have no idea what they're doing or teaching. People who invest years and years in the wrong tools and the wrong workflows, who end up becoming part of the problem instead of part of the quality, and have no real craftsmanship or pride or confidence to show for it when all is said and done. And I know this because I get dozens and dozens and dozens of personal emails from people who have done PB 101 after being lost astray in the sea of Elementor and Divi and Beaver and these creators that promote all of these things and the chaos that they put out into the world in terms of content. And they come to PB 101 and they start doing real things. And they start to acknowledge that, wow, I'm actually gaining confidence now. I have learned more in 1 month than I learned in the last 3 years. I actually feel good about the work I'm doing now. I actually feel good about the proposals I'm sending out now. I feel like I am now part of the quality and not part of the problem. That is real, actual empowerment that is not found in these other channels and in these other tools. And those are real victims. Those are real people who spend years and years and lots of time and lots of money on plugin after plugin after plugin after plugin and this and that and this and that. Remember, they didn't come into this industry thinking, man, I would literally like to look up at the end of 4 years and know nothing. They come in thinking that they are going to learn, thinking that they are learning, and that is not happening. Group number 2, obviously, is our clients. People who routinely receive shoddy websites that fail to meet critical business objectives, and even sites that have to be completely rebuilt from scratch because the original was built by somebody lacking core knowledge. There are millions and millions and millions of dollars wasted and lost by bad practices in this industry. There are mom and pop shops that have failed instead of succeeded because they invested the little bit of runway that they had into providers who had no real expertise or experience. And we have to be clear, you've seen this on WDD Live, over 100 episodes now where I review websites that are submitted. There is not an epidemic of well-built, scalable, highly profitable websites coming out of the WordPress ecosystem. There is an epidemic of mediocrity that harms our reputation, that harms our ability to charge appropriately, that harms the clients that we claim to serve. So this live stream is not designed to shame anybody. It's designed to defend people who are trying to learn, to defend people who are commissioning providers who are learning within this ecosystem, and to defend and uplift the real educators in the space, who you rarely hear from, by the way, because they're drowned out by the noise from the, hey, you don't have to know anything to cash these checks, influencers. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna lay out my arguments. I'm going to examine some evidence, 2 video segments in particular. I'm gonna do a little demo for you, and then I'm gonna address comments and questions, and we're gonna get out of here. And then I'm gonna have, essentially, and you're gonna have a stream that anytime this argument ever comes up in the future, we don't have to entertain this anymore. We don't have to live in la la land anymore. We can just give them the link. Just say, hey, just go watch, and you can see reality for yourself. Okay, so let's get into our primary points, okay? First of all, let's visit the chat real quick. Thank you, Carapos. Okay. All right. All right. I think we're on board. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is argument number 1. Because I want to make sure that everybody understands my actual arguments so that when people misrepresent them, once again, you can have a link to, hey, here they are. Here they are, okay? No-code and low-code tools do have merits, but they're conditional. No-code and low-code tools are not inherently invalid. Their merit is conditional. They earn legitimacy only if they generate code and promote workflows that meet professional standards. Now, we're not talking about the use of these tools outside of a professional context. If Jane Doe wants to come in and create her own personal website, I don't give a single flying what she uses, whether it's Wix or Squarespace or Beaver, Divi or Element or anything else. I don't care. If some mom and pop shop down the street wants to come in and build their own website, sure. Do I think that that's wise? No, because there is such a thing as lost opportunity cost. It is cheap to build your own website if you don't factor in all the money that website's not actually making you because you didn't know what you were doing. And if you had turned it over to a provider that did, they would probably be generating an ROI for you, and that would help your business more than the free website that you built yourself, right? Okay, so there are nuances to these arguments. But even still, let's say that they want to ignore the advice and still build it themselves. Do you think I care what platform they use or if they're building to standards or not? I don't care. They are assuming the risk for themselves. I care when it's providers selling services, right? Saying, hey, we're going to do this and selling all these, and we're going to talk about conditionals that they never put on this in a minute. This is the smoking gun. I'm going to give you the absolute smoking gun argument that they will run and hide from at all costs, okay? So just stay tuned. But I also care, like I said, about you, the people trying to learn, okay? So I only care when it's creators, and I only care when it's in a professional context. A tool that outputs clean code, dynamic patterns, and that protects scalability, maintainability, and accessibility has value. The entire goal of interfaces is that they can speed up the work that we do. Somebody made the argument to me the other day, Kevin, this is stupid. This is a stupid argument, Kevin, because we have calculators now. You're saying that everybody should do math by hand and not use the calculator. No, that is a stupid argument. And there are objectively stupid arguments. Websites are not calculators, okay? The calculator is better because it gets you to the same result faster. It doesn't give you the wrong answer faster. It gives you the right answer faster. These page builders, these no-code, low-code, especially when driven by people that don't know what they're doing, get you to the wrong answer. That's not a calculator. A calculator fundamentally returns the correct answer. That's why it's better. Okay? So again, we have to analyze the merit of these absurd and ridiculous comparisons and arguments that are always thrown into this discussion. It's craziness. Most current no-code and low-code platforms, including Element or the one in question, do not meet this threshold. They do not encourage or promote best practices, and they fail even worse when used by practitioners who don't know or don't care to learn fundamentals. More importantly, the people defending these tools lack any semblance of literacy to evaluate the output themselves. Tool advocacy without technical validation is just uninformed endorsement, not professional judgment. It's literally the same as hiring a celebrity to endorse your tool. That celebrity has no idea. They're just taking the money. That's it. Okay? So Elementor gives affiliate commissions. These people take the money. They promote it. They're not promoting it with any sort of professional backing. They're just giving an uninformed endorsement. That's what this is. But when they take their uninformed endorsement onto X and onto Facebook and onto YouTube and pretend that it's a professional endorsement, that's where we have a problem. Argument number 2. Standards exist because outcomes demand them. Standards are not subjective preferences. Web development standards are derived from decades of experience, from real-world outcomes, and professional accountability. They're established to avoid negative outcomes and harmful consequences. As with any professional industry, advocating for standards and holding people accountable is not about personal preference. It's about the prevention of real and actual harm. Rejecting standards isn't innovation. It's denial of evidence and denial of responsibility. And in practice, it's an intellectually dishonest shield for the rejector's own gaps in technical knowledge. What we have is a bunch of people claiming that standards don't matter, not because that statement is true, but because they know that they themselves can't meet the said standards because they have no intention to actually learn. That is absurd and inexcusable behavior in a supposedly professional industry where big dollars, lots of times, are flowing back and forth. And big risks and big consequences are at stake. Okay, let's go on to number 3. Technical literacy is a prerequisite for proper use of any tool in a professional scenario. Effective web development requires understanding foundational principles, the CSS cascade, the box model, basic code knowledge, tokenization, naming conventions, logical workflows, the deliberate avoidance of anti-patterns, and on and on and on. Without this knowledge, a developer cannot evaluate whether a tool's output is correct or efficient or future-proof, yet they claim to, yet they do, they try to. A drag and drop interface may allow an action, but it does not ensure correctness. Teaching users to act without understanding is not empowerment, it's irresponsible. Technical literacy does not arrive via no-code or low-code tools or know-nothing influencers. No-code platforms and influencers who reject code education do not confer literacy. They bypass it. Literacy is built through understanding, not interface abstraction. A user who cannot read or audit or debug the output remains functionally illiterate. And this illiteracy is cemented by the narrative that becoming illiterate isn't actually required. And this illiteracy tends to capture individuals for years and years, as you will see clear evidence of, which is far more than is required to become literate in the first place. This is educational atrocity. The idea that we would spend 5 years going down a wrong path only to claim that, well, that wrong path is faster and easier than just going down the right path to begin with. That's absurd. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. Let's move on to number 4. Rejecting standards at scale has industry-wide consequences. When influencers teach that best practices are optional, they normalize technical debt and poor outcomes. This has measurable downstream effects. Clients inherit sites that cannot scale, often requiring full rebuilds, which often cost 2 to 5 times the original budget. Junior developers enter the market trained in anti-patterns and perpetuating low-quality output. User trust erodes, slow, inaccessible, or broken experiences reflect poorly on the entire profession. This is not victimless. This is a systemic degradation of quality. And here is the smoking gun argument related to the rejection of standards. These proponents who continue to say that clients don't care and none of this stuff matters rarely include transparent risk disclosures in contracts or proposals. And when I say rarely, I mean never. Consider the following statements, none of which will ever appear on their websites, none of which will ever appear in their proposals or their marketing or their ads or their phone calls or anything else. Quote, we adopt a no-code philosophy and do not study underlying code principles. Imagine putting that disclosure in your proposal. Our tools may produce lower quality, less maintainable output. Imagine putting that disclosure in your proposal. We prioritize speed over adherence to best practices, increasing future iteration costs. Imagine putting that disclosure. Due to limited technical training, we may not identify critical issues in accessibility, performance, or scalability. The absence of such disclosures seems to undermine the claim that clients don't care. If they don't care, why don't you inform them? Informed consent requires transparency. Without it, the assertion is not only untestable, it's ethically indefensible. They know I wouldn't sell these projects. I wouldn't be able to cash these checks if I said that. If I use the arguments that I make on Facebook and X and YouTube in my proposals, I probably wouldn't sell as many projects. That lets you know that that argument is absurd. Let's get on to the last one. If clients didn't care, then why don't you just tell them what you're doing? Why do you hide it? Why do you pretend that it's something it's not? Because you know they care. You know they would care. They appear to not care because they don't know, and they're hiring you under the assumption that you are not doing those things. The claim that no-code and low-code tools are faster and easier is a complete misnomer. I love this one. This is my favorite. This is why I put it at the end. Proponents of no-code, low-code tools insist that their workflows are faster and easier and require less learning curve. This is what we are sold. This is the major selling point of these tools, but it's simply not true. The learning curve is the same, if not steeper, because when you lack clarity and you lack consistency in your methods, learning is very chaotic. It is very hard to learn when there's no principles, there's no standards. There's no consistency. There's no established workflows. There's no best practices. Everybody can do everything they want, anything that they want. Just do it however. Just use any tool that you feel comfortable. That's very hard to learn. Typically, when you go into an education pattern, they lay out, hey, principles, and practices, and standards, and this is what we're trying to achieve, okay? It's not chaos. It's not randomness. So no, the learning curve is not easier. The learning curve is not shallower. The material learned still leaves the practitioner functionally illiterate, as we will see, as clear as day. The workflows often take more time, not less, as we will see, clear as day. Tired of hearing just ridiculous and absurd claims. Well, I use this builder for these small projects and this builder for this other project because let's just, the more technical builder is just slower. It's going to be slower to get to where I need. This one's just easier and fast. Stop it. Stop it. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's not true. It's not true. Speed, efficiency, all the things that we're talking about come from knowledge, not tools. Knowledge, experience, expertise, not tools. Tools do not make it faster. Easier tools do not make it easier. They make it easier to arrive at the wrong answer. They don't make it faster. That is objectively true. They do not make it faster. And even if a workflow in a particular context completes the initial process faster, which is often not the case, they always create slower processes down the line when it's time to maintain or scale the project. And these inefficiencies and costs are conveniently never factored in to the arguments. You are going to clearly see the evidence for this in today's stream. You'll watch a workflow be slower. You will watch the process be far more convoluted. You will watch the main selling point of no-code and low-code tools completely fail before your very eyes. You will watch all of these things happen because the truth is inescapable. A person who knows what they're doing will always work faster than a person who knows relatively nothing. A person who knows what they're doing will always produce better outcomes than a person who doesn't. Knowing is not optional. The tool, we don't even need to talk about any one tool in particular. We need to talk about knowing versus not knowing. We need to talk about the rejection of knowing versus the willingness to learn. That's what this stream is about. So in conclusion, it's not about it's about responsibility. It's not about rivalry. The goal is not to declare one tool, framework, or person superior. The goal is to halt the proliferation of a false narrative, one that devalues education, misleads learners, and harms clients. Professionalism is not defined by payment received. It is defined by commitment to practice, to continuous learning, and accountability to outcomes. We owe this to our clients. We owe it to each other. We owe it to the people we are attempting to educate. We especially owe this to the entire next generation of people. The people right now who most people are telling, hey, all you have to do is AI it. All you have to do is click, click, click and cash the checks. That's the narrative that we are currently fighting against. So I'm gonna pull up a video here. We're gonna get into this. Let me check on the chat before we click a link. Okay. There are still a lot of people that consider WordPress not to be a professional environment. This is what you cannot allow yourself to get caught up in. Okay, I have a list of common objections, okay? And this is actually number one. Somebody said this today in my Facebook stream. Hey, this is just tool preference. Laravel devs, like any other system out there, could criticize WordPress the same way, right? Incorrect. The critique that we are making is not tool specific, it's outcome specific. We are not worried about tools, we are worried about outcomes. So if you have a WordPress site that is built with semantic HTML, tokenized CSS, dynamic loops, is maintainable, is scalable, versus one built with ID selectors and inline styles and static cards, the platform doesn't matter. The variable that we're concerned with is adherence to standards, not the tool itself. This isn't about whether you code or don't code. Don't get caught up in that either. I explain that in point number one. If the tool writes all the code, but does it in a way that's clean, semantic, accessible, scalable, maintainable, that would be a dream come true in a lot of ways. That's not a reality that exists is the problem. We don't live in that reality. We live in a reality where people have to use the tool. And if the people don't know what they're doing, they will produce bad outcomes. And it won't be faster and it won't be easier. All of the things that are said about it are a lie, as we will see. Okay? So don't get caught up in the distractions. There's so many distractions. We're talking about outcomes, scalability, maintainability, accessibility, profitability of the client that you're working for, who's hiring you because they want an ROI. You understand? Okay, these are the outcomes that matter. If you use a tool that makes that impossible or makes that extremely unlikely, and that tool is driven by somebody who doesn't actually know what they're doing, even though they sell it as they do, this is where we have problems. This is where we have problems. It's not a this tool versus that tool. It's not a this tool versus, it's not a this platform versus that platform. It's an outcomes analysis. That's what it is. It's an outcomes analysis. So here we go. We're going to click on this link right here. We're going to watch a video together.
In this video, we're going to create this advanced container layout in Elementor. And what's so cool about this layout is that this green bar on the side, it grows with you. So when you make the window smaller or bigger, it just grows. Well, the contents, this text, stays within the 12-column grid, which is what you want for most websites. I haven't seen a tutorial like this yet on YouTube because it's not super easy to do, especially if you want to keep it responsive and on the grid. So I thought, let's just make this video. And
double audio says Zach. Oh, hold on. Thought we tested this at the beginning. Thought we got the green light at the beginning. Thought we got the green light. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Okay, let's try this. Let's go to window. Is the echo so horrific that we can't continue, or is it just a little annoying? That's the first question, okay? That's the first question. Okay, sound levels. Now I'm gonna change the channel real quick. Okay, they can live with the echo. All right, but I'm gonna play it again real quick, and you can tell me if it's still echoing.
You guys also seem to like more advanced container layouts. I'm looking at the views of my previous advanced container layout, so I hope that you guys will like this one too. This also means that this video is not super beginner friendly. So if you are still an Elementor beginner and you haven't worked that much with the container, then I highly recommend to watch this video that I made a while ago. It's still relevant and gives you all the basics about the container. I will also put a link in the description that allows you to download this whole page as an Elementor template, which you can then upload to your own website with the template upload feature to see if my version is the same as yours. Again, all of the links are in the description. And now let's just get started. We're gonna start on this page. I already did the basics. I made a little header with a logo and a menu, and I also created the bottom container, which just contains a divider, which is just this little line, a heading, and then 3 icon boxes with a little bit of spacing. So now we're gonna start with the middle section, but let's analyze it first a little bit, because what do we need to make this work? The first thing is our main box, and then we need another box for the image, and we need another box over here, but we also need a box over here for the side panel that grows. So let's start adding some containers. I'm gonna use the flex box for this, which is gonna be a horizontal layout, and then we're gonna add another container inside of it, which sticks perfectly to the sides. If that's not the case for you and you see some space on the inside of your container, then your padding is probably still on default. You need to turn that off.
I just want to preface this with I don't watch Elementor creator videos. I actually did not know how like legitimately wild this is, like wild. But before I got it, before this was, I was like prompted to, I mean, I was told, let's keep in mind, I was told that, Kevin, I essentially teach what you teach. I adhere to all those things on that list in that blog post you published. This isn't that deep, this stuff's not that, it's not that hard. It's not that technical. Stop worrying so much about it. Right? That's what I was told. So now I was like, okay, well, I got to go look. If somebody goes, I'm basically teaching what you teach, I got to go look. This is what I found.
Or just constantly disconnect the padding.
Oh, how old? Okay, look, hey, I want you to understand I am being as fair as I can possibly be. This video is 10 months old, okay? Now, if you look at the title of the stream, okay, we're 6 years. 6 years into publishing videos, 6 years. So this is 5 years of experience in, okay? It's not crazy long ago. It's not, and then the second video that we are going to watch, the second video, and by the way, this is the light work. This is my example of it's not faster and it's not easier. This one's not even really that like, look, I mean, do you see any best practices here? Do you see any, that's not even this. This is just the Is it faster and easier? Like you told me it was faster and easier. Let me look. Let's see if it's faster and easier. That's all this video is. The second video that we're gonna watch is 11 days old. 11 days. And that's the one where if you are a person in this space trying to learn, you are going to have to reconcile a big fact that I've already talked about multiple times, okay? And you are going to realize that this argument of, oh, well, I mean, it gets them on the right path. And, you know, blah, 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 all this nonsense. This is absolute fairy tales, absolute fairy tales. But this one's 10 months old. The other one, because age of a video is very relevant. Age of a video is very relevant, okay? But I didn't choose one from 4 years ago. And the second one I chose is 11 days old. It's hot off the fucking press, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's keep going.
But it's easier to turn it off. Inside of the site settings, inside of layout, make sure these values are on 0. Then it looks the same as mine. Okay, so now we have one container. Let's make sure we see the layers panel. And you can turn it.
While you're watching this, imagine that you are trying to teach somebody this. That this is like, hey, remember the marketing brochure. Hey, this is gonna be easy. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be quick and easy, okay? Just follow along with this.
On over here, we have one container, we need another one. I'm gonna press Command D in order to duplicate it. If that doesn't work on your keyboard, then just right click and duplicate. If you're on a Windows, it's Control D, by the way. So now we have 3 containers. The middle one, we want that to be the same as the main box. So our header over here is 1120 in width. So we still have some space on the left and on the right. So we're gonna make this middle container, we're gonna make that 1120. It's already on full width, that's fine. We're gonna put it on pixels and we're just gonna type in 1120, but nothing happens. And that is because the container by default grows and shrinks automatically. So we need to add something over here to say to Elementor that this box should just be 1120, no matter what the flex box wants. You do that by clicking on size and then none.
I want you to realize something. He said, you say to Elementor. Haven't I told you before that when you use these tools, you are learning the language of a tool? You're not, what do I say? Hey, we got to say to the browser. That's what we have to say to. I'm in a communication with the browser. Okay, I'm not in some proprietary communication with this interface, all right? A major point that I've made time and time again, that you end up learning the proprietary language of an interface and you don't ever learn the actual language of web design. Now let's continue.
Then it pushes the other 2 containers to the sides. Then it kind of shrinks the other 2 containers because now we're forcing it. On the background container, we also need to make sure that that one is on full width because the green box goes all the way to the left over here. And on the right here, there's also a white box, which you don't see because there's nothing in it. But we need to go to the absolute.
Let's do this. This is very important. So I'm just gonna highlight Max's comment here. Make another thing very, very, very clear. I literally have, I don't care if I don't care what happened yesterday, okay? Let's say that Reno came out and was like, hey, it's clear. Like, I need to start learning this stuff. I think it's important. I do agree with some of what you said. I think it's important. I am not a like cancel person, he's got to go person, or anything like this. Literally, if he was just like, hey, I gotta do a better job. Coach, I gotta do a better job. Like if I was like an athlete on a team and coach is like, hey dog, you're fucking up. Like you gotta quit fumbling. I'd be like, you're right, coach. I mean, it's on the damn video. I watched it. You're right, coach. I gotta do a better job. Then guess what? It's like, hey, awesome. This is amazing. That's like a great outcome. That's a fantastic outcome, right? I don't, like I said in the beginning, I don't have any personal vendetta, beef, whatever. I don't want to create any consequence other than somebody going, damn, yeah, like, okay, this stuff is important. I got to do better. And I'll even do whatever I need to do to help anybody else do better. That's it. So I don't like, let's make that clear. Let's make that clear. I don't want Reno to go anywhere. I don't want him to, I just want people to stop being like misled for years and years and years. And I want clients to get better outcomes. That's it. Okay, let's keep going.
Edges, so that's why the background container needs to be on full width. Okay, now you see that our two outer containers still have a little bit of space, which shrink, and our middle box.
We need creators, we need players on the field. We just can't have them on the field if they're fumbling all the fucking time. Like, it's literally that simple. It's literally that simple. Like, imagine you're the coach of a football team. We need players. We need you, athlete. Okay, you just can't fumble all the time. You just can't, especially on the goal line. Especially like we're losing games. Okay, like that's all this is. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Box, the 1121, it doesn't shrink, which is what we want. Okay, we also have some space here between the containers. I also don't like that because it needs to stick perfectly. By default, Elementor doesn't show any gap, but there is a gap. I know, a little bit annoying, but that's how it works. So you press 0, and now you can see that there is no gap between the containers. Now let's give it a little bit of height for our main container over here. It doesn't really matter for this website, but I'm gonna use percentages. So view height, I'm gonna put it on that, and I think I want to use like 70 so that we still see a little bit of the next section over here. And now the basic structure is done. Let's start adding some elements. So the obvious thing you think that we need to do is go to style and then add a background image. And you can do that. I tried to make it work, but that gave problems on responsive, so I don't want to do that. We need to add another container inside of this one. So I'm going to go to the plus and I'm going to just click once on the container. Now it adds another container inside of that 1120 container. Let's name it by double clicking to make sure we know where we are. This is the left and this is the right one. Okay. And this is the container we're going to place the image in, because soon we will have to move this container to create this white space over here. So let's start by adding an image as a background in that container. Select. By default, it's not the full height, so go back to your 1120 container and put it on a row. Then it becomes the full height because it will try to grow everything in a horizontal direction. Okay, now go back to your image container and we're gonna make sure that our image is in the right position. The first thing you want to do is go to display size and put it on cover. And then you want to make sure that it is in the middle, center. So right now our image container, which I'm calling image, is right on top of the 1120 container. And in order to make that white space over here, we need to...
So I think one part, you know, if you didn't catch something already, this image is not indexable. This image does not contribute to SEO of this project. This is an image that the browser literally does not know exists. And you know, it's kind of like seems to be an important part of the story, an important part of the. It's not a screen reader user would not know what this image is or that it exists. So like there are things you see, and there are also things you cannot see if you don't know what you're looking for. And you got to keep this in mind, because I can't break down the entire video. But you're going to see some things where you recognize, oh, but then there's a lot of things you probably aren't seeing also.
Push it a little bit. So what I did is I went to advanced, I unlinked the margin, and I just played around with the left. So if you, for example, put it on 120, by the way, if you hold Control or Command, you can jump in steps of 10 pixels, then you can push it a little bit from the left side, creating this gap. And now we're gonna add the green box over here and push that back. So let's do that. We're gonna add another container inside of this container, which we're gonna give a background color of that green. Okay, now we're gonna make sure that the green container is not so wide and it's gonna be in the middle. The width that I use for that container is actually on pixels, and then I think I use 350. Now you can see that I completely are messing it up. And that's because I'm in the wrong container. I don't know, I think I misclicked. So let's go a step back. I'm so sorry. I should click on this one, the green container, then go to layout, then go to full width, put it on pixels, and this one needs to be 350. Okay. It also needs to have some height, which I also use 350 for, and then I want to put it in the middle, but then you need to click on the one that's beneath it, which is very hard to do. So if you go to your image over here, then go to layout and then put justify content in the middle, then it will be in the middle. But now it's not aligned to the grid. So now we need to push this box to the left. And we can do that by doing the exact opposite as we did to the image. By going to advanced, unlink this, holding command or control, and then just pushing it 120 pixels to the left. So now it's perfectly aligned to the grid. So let's add some text to this container to make it come alive. There's no padding in here. We need a little bit of padding. So I'm just gonna add 40 pixels of padding here on the inside, but I don't want any padding on the left. So I'm gonna unlink it after I added the padding, and then I'm gonna delete the padding. So now we can add this green box over here. So how we're going to do that is we're going to add a container to this one. So if you go to the plus again and add a container inside of that one, also give it a green background color, the same one, and then put it in the middle. But again, you cannot click on it. You have to make sure you're on the left one, then justify content in the middle, then go back to your green container, then go to layout and give it that same height, so 350. Now you can see the trick. Let's see if it works. If I close this window, yes, it grows. So now it looks like this container and this container is connected. But it's not, but it doesn't matter because it works on the front end. Let's make a save draft and preview our web design on the front end to see if it works. Yes, it works. Of course, at some point it breaks because we haven't set up all of the other breakpoints, but it does work. And even on bigger screens, if you zoom out like ultra wide, it still is connected to the sides and to the logo at the top, but also the content here at the bottom. So yeah, it works. That is great. Now we can focus on some other cool details. For example, the image hover, this button over here, and then that this content box in Figma, in a tool like Figma, a layer above would mean that it's visibly above it, but not in development. So you need to tell Elementor that this container with the tree inside of it needs to be on top of that. And you do that by going to advanced, set index, and just put it on 2. So
keep in mind, I've skipped a lot, right? I've skipped a lot. Now the again, you can't come off the street and just do this stuff. You would have, if you were going to teach somebody how to do this, yeah, you would sit down with them and you would try to have them follow along with this. I mean, just the container situation alone, like the amount of containers and boxes going on, and the different alignments on various parents, and and then this fixed size and that fixed size, and these two things are disconnected, and we never connected them, and on and on and on. Like, that requires a lot of communication, a lot of teaching and showing and demonstrating and yada yada. And this is what I mean, that if you're going to do all of that to learn, why don't you just learn the actual techniques? It's the same learning curve. It's literally the same. It's not like he just went boom, 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 click, 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 there it is. He's literally, this took years of using Elementor to get to this point. That all of that time could have been spent just learning the actual fundamentals and principles. Okay, I'm gonna put this little thing together at the end of this. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the other video. I want you to stick around. Okay, we're gonna put this little thing together at the end. It requires literally like 1, 2 boxes. It's two boxes and grid and a pseudo element, and then the actual elements: heading, text, button, whatever. Right? And this I wanted to show you because if you're gonna watch Kevin use a super advanced tool called Etch, right? to accomplish this better, objectively better, with less techniques, less chaos, less time. Remember, this is sold to everybody as easier and faster, and you don't need to know what you're doing. You need to know things to do all of this. It's just you need to know the wrong things. You could just learn the right things and use a appropriate tool and actually achieve that outcome better and faster. Because let me reiterate, speed and efficiency and outcomes come from knowledge. This interface, whatever's happening here, cannot make up for a lack of knowledge. You will just fumble around in here for just as long as you would fumble around in any other interface until you learn what you are actually doing. And the only two options you have, the two roads you can go down is, do you want to go down the road of a lot of time invested in learning nothing? Or do you want to go down the road of time invested in learning something? It's a clear distinction. The only reason people choose this path is because they're lied to about it. They are told it will be faster and easier, and you'll be able to do the thing. And that is an objective lie. It's not true. We're watching it not be true. So stop saying it. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It misleads people. Let's go to video number 2. This is 11 days ago, giving you the context of this is after 6 years. This was the inspiration for the title of this stream. So go read the title of this stream. I don't even know what the hell it is. 240,000 subscribers, 191 videos, something, something, something. This is the outcome, okay? So this video, I'm going to give you the context, 11 days old, is an exploration of Elementor 4.0, which introduces the concept of classes, which have been around since the 1990s. That anybody who knows the language, if you have told me that you have spent 6 years in the development space, doing development work, and you don't know how to use classes, how to name classes, how to do anything with classes, I think we can all agree that that is an abject failure of whatever philosophy you follow. And that anybody who also follows that philosophy will, in turn, also be a complete failure, right? So let's watch. Now, if you thought I'm gonna have to, because nothing happens in this video for 43 minutes, okay? So I have, and you can go watch it for yourself. Oh, I'm sorry, it was 13 days ago. Just want to be accurate. You can go watch this whole thing it's 3.5 hours long. We can't watch all this together. I am going to fast forward you to a relevant part where, once again, we are going to be building a hero section. And I just want you to watch. And as you watch, I want you to ask yourself, 1, how is this possible? 2, how would I ever learn? Following this. Okay? So let's do it.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna use some RAM, and in our Figma, yeah, this design is pretty crazy actually. There's like no real structure because it's pretty custom. It's not that all of the sections have like 5 RAM at the top and 5 RAM at the bottom. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna freestyle it. What do we have? At least maybe we can have a starting point. What do we have here? Which we're gonna call right, and that is then we're gonna convert that to a just top and bottom. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it by hand. So we're just gonna put 5% left and 5% right, and that is then we're gonna convert that to a class, which we're gonna call background. And then the inner box, what is the width of that? yeah, so it's automatically full width. So the size in Figma, in our board, is, as always, 1120, which is fine. So we're also going to put that over here, 1120 pixels, and then it's not middle aligned. So we're just going to go to this one, and then the BG, we're also going to make sure that it's middle aligned. Layouts, oh, this one needs to be a flex, the BG, otherwise we cannot middle align it. Yeah, okay, now it's middle aligned. This one is 1120, which should be converted to a global class as well. Let's just call it box. Yeah, we only have one box, or no, we don't. Okay.
Do you realize there are people who shit on BEM only to come to these videos and praise how much they're learning? Do you realize that that is a fucking thing in reality? It's insane. Okay, like let's just keep watching. Let's ignore, like, just set aside the fact that we created a BG class that has 5% left and right padding and some other shit going on with Flex-Align that's called BG. I don't even know why. Imagine coming to this project 6 months later. But again, like, let's just put two and two together. That there are literally people trolling in my comments about BEM. And then this is the world that you would live in without things like BEM. I don't care if it's BEM or Cube or whatever fucking philosophy you follow to name classes. But what I've said is there's a lot of people not naming them. And just it's chaos, not knowing what is going on. And we are looking at objective reality of what happens in this philosophy, okay?
We have, what do we have here? Wait, boxed medium. So how I'm thinking about this is that the main box here is just 1120, but then over here, for example, you have a smaller width, right? So that then would be boxed small. Now here we also have a smaller width. Just try to work in a proper way.
Guys, there's nothing on the page yet. There's not a single thing on the fucking page yet, okay?
Okay, so I'm gonna call this boxed L. That's the 1120 one. And then later we're gonna add another box, okay? So on this background, we're gonna, of course, add that color, but we're gonna add a new class for that. Wait. Let me open my V4 notes, because I do have some kind of classes system in mind. Let me see. Rounds. And then in that class, there's a color variable, okay? Wait, do I still have the chat on? Yeah. Okay. Can we check how the code on back?
By the way, I see the laughing emojis and shit. And I don't think it's not, to me, it's not a laughing, like, it's sad. Because I'm thinking about the 240,000 subscribers that were led down this path for years and years and years. I feel very upset about that. Like, to me, I never laughed once watching these. I never laughed once watching these videos. It just got sadder.
And looks comparison. Yeah, we can, but I don't have a fair comparison now. But Jeffrey made a good video on that. He checked it out, and it's probably best on that. What do you talk? We're gonna convert it into, and then here we're gonna add a color. I don't think we can convert it into a variable, or can we? I think we're gonna start out with FF, which is white. Or should we just do it from here? No, we should do it from here. Okay, so we're gonna do light 1. That's gonna be pure white. Create. That's it. Easy. Then in our Figma, we're gonna just follow. Should be there. Otherwise, not gonna call it.
Guys, there's nothing on the page yet.
If you build a section I want to paste from another page, but you have to. But here, you can just do it from here. See?
Gotta pause. I'm sorry. Dave. Earth to Dave. This is the point. You can't say to be fair. That's not fair. He's 6 years into the craft. This can't be the result. Dave, this can't be the result. Dave. Come on, Dave. Put 2 and 2 together. Don't make me connect all these dots for you, Dave. Don't make me do this.
You don't have to drag, you can just click. Okay, so now we should watch out because the boxed L. Oh wait, we can actually put the direction on vertical because we almost always want vertical. So layout and then column. Yeah, that's how I want it. So now we have a button that is super wide, by the way, by default. That's probably because of our settings here. We probably need to align items, start. In this case, we have to use middle, but that's, yeah, this is actually live. Let's add some colors. So, let's start with the background. So we have our BG, and then the idea is that we have some kind of class for the background. I think that's the nicest way to work instead of just dumping it on the local level. So
please understand the underlying context that these people arrogantly argue with me incessantly that this is everybody's future. And that this is so easy and so fast and so empowering and so this and that. Never forget that is the underlying context. Never forget.
It's not working. Here you can see with these dots to add some colors to that's the dark box. You should check if is it because that what now we have everything here, then 64 here, because then the size can be defined by the age. That's smart. Is that smart what I'm doing? Yes. Yes. Yeah, because now we're only saving it in one place. Yeah, this is the smartest way to do it. So the heading should be Fredoka. Hey, look at that. Fredoka. It works. We're not going to set up the sizes here. We're going to do that somewhere different. This is just so that we have one place where you can manage all of our headings, because we're having a dark.
Geez, 40, 39. I mean, it wasn't building the whole time, you know, he's bouncing around but I mean, he started on the page at 42 minutes and we're at an hour and 3 minutes. And we have a heading with a heading dark where he's declaring font families on colors and probably about to also declare a size on here. No semblance of a design system or global sizes or global colors or anything that doesn't really need to be baked into a utility class called heading dark. I mean, you don't even need that class is completely unnecessary. This is where we're at. Now, by the way, he's gonna do this, and make no mistake, he is going to turn around, as they all do, and proclaim that this workflow is slower without any recognition that it's slower because they don't know the fundamentals. They're like, it's not inherently slower. It's slower because you don't know what you're doing. But they'll never add the disclaimer that I don't actually know what I'm doing. That's probably why it's slower. They literally just declare that using classes is slower than styling at the ID level. You have to put all these, that's why I was actually worried about doing this live stream today, because I was like, there's so many outlandishly absurd fairy tale, Twilight Zone bullshit dots that have to be connected and like callbacks to like arguments people make and stuff they say that it's so outlandishly wrong, but yet so consistently entertained by so many people.
Here. You know what? Be 720. I think if we just use this button. Now we set it up correctly. We are literally already streaming for 1 hour and I just created the hero section. Incredible, Reno.
I mean, at least there's some acknowledgement of it, but it's like, but make no mistake. He turned off this stream and he got on Twitter and he ran his mouth at me. Where is the disconnect between, man, I just did a 3-hour stream. I publicly put out a 3-hour stream where I demonstrated that I don't know the first fucking thing about this. So my next move is to get on X and argue with somebody about all of this. Who does know? Hello? Like,
okay. Now this is a good start. Let's try to add a border. A section divider like this. So this weird shape. It looks like it works. Company agrees with their own government.
I don't know. I would encourage you, I mean, it's not a super valuable use of time. I would encourage you though to maybe just go spend a little time in the stream. Now, do not go plaster comments everywhere and laughing emojis and all this other, just be nice. Let me be the bad guy, okay? Let me be the bad, everybody already loves that. Like, they love to call me that, whatever. Because, I mean, how dare you just actually say the reality of a situation? Like, that's just fucking awful. So just let me be that guy. You don't have to bear that burden, all right? What I think we should encourage is, like, I will give every single one of these creators a free etch license. And I will do whatever they want me to do in terms of fucking, we can get on Zooms, we can get on this and that, we can get on whatever. I will donate hours and hours of my time. If anybody is interested, if they're at all interested, right? We need something productive to happen. Again, you have to go back to all the things I said about the point of the stream. Okay? I don't want Reno to go anywhere. I don't want any of these creators to go anywhere. I just think we have to stop lying to people about the tools, about the workflows, about the realities, about the outcomes, about the clients. Okay? Let me go to the chat. All right. Maybe not that far. How about this? If you have over 50,000 YouTube subscribers, if you have over 50,000 YouTube subscribers, we will create a private group. You will get a free Etch license. Because the thing is like, it's a problems at scale issue, right? It's a problems at scale issue. Like I said, that I didn't laugh at all when I was watching the video. It got sadder because I kept thinking about 240,000 subscribers. 240 fucking thousand. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that were handheld down a very dark alley that ended up going nowhere. And at the end, their pockets got picked and they were left for fucking dead. And, you know, I have a theory about these channels. You know, there's a bunch of them in the space. 120,000 subscribers, 240,000 subscribers, 85,000 subscribers, 110,000 subscribers. And I look at the videos and I go, it's the same amount of views as mine for the most part. And I look at the live streams and I go, well, they can't get 20 people on a live? They can't get 15 people. They got 15 people watching live? By the way, right now we're at 225. Okay? Should be more, but that's okay. I just look at these other channels. I'm like, hold on. You got 110,000. Walk me through this. You got 110,000 subscribers. You got 15 people on a live? Something's wrong. Math ain't mathin', okay? And I know what it is. Not the numbers aren't fake. You need to understand, the numbers are not fake. They didn't buy their subscribers. What they did was they put out a whole bunch of beginner-focused content. They attracted anybody and everybody. They used the keywords of Elementor this and Elementor that. And they made a lot of promises about you don't have to really know, put all the time, it's faster, easier, just click, subscribe, email list, affiliate commission, check, okay? And then these people, because they're not involved, they're not invested, they're not interested in learning, you attracted all the wrong people. And that's why the number says 240 and the live stream says 30. Where mine says 20,000 and the live streams are 225. And we do this week after week after week after week after week. If you go after the hollow audience, it's a hollow audience. Those people don't exist anymore. The 240,000 don't exist anymore. But a lot of people look at that number and be like, wow, that's a lot of people. That's so influential. All right. Those don't exist. They're ghost numbers. They're ghosts. These people do not exist anymore. They existed at one point in time. They don't exist anymore because they were never interested. They were led astray. They were lied to. And they just weren't committed. They just weren't committed to learning or participating in this industry. So congratulations, you got the subscriber at some point in time, but they're not here anymore. Which is another sad thing. And because, again, people tell me, well, it's a great path for them to get started. But no, it's not. It's fucking not. It's not. It's a great way for them to actually, I mean, if you opened Elementor and tried to follow along, I don't know how far you would get before you realize this is a lot harder than they made it out to be. I don't really know what I'm doing, and this is a lot harder than they made it out to be. What if instead I told you, as I do in Page Building 101, for example, which was 100% free, but the next version is 100% free when it comes out. The updated version, Era 4 version of Page Building 101, will once again be 100% free. This education's been out there for years and years and years for anybody, literally anybody, okay? Where I tell you up front, just letting you know, it's a highly technical industry, moves very quickly. There's a whole lot to learn. I'm going to help you learn it as fast as I possibly can, but I am not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you to use shortcut tools. I'm not going to tell you that this is going to be super easy when it's not. You just tell people the truth and they go, dude, I'm in. And then they stick around because they fucking appreciate it. They appreciate reality. They appreciate the truth. They appreciate actual education. Let's play around in here. Just wanted to check up on the chat real quick. Love you, Marcus. Yeah, see, they aren't fake. I think it's more important to realize they're not fake, that they lost them. They just don't exist anymore. Okay. Is this the thing we're supposed to build? Right here? Oh, shit.
In Elementor.
I wish I could have it full screen, but once I put it full screen, I can't do anything else in the browser. I'm gonna keep my eye on the chat while we do this. See, and I hear this. These are the emails I get. I get a steady stream of it. Listen, when you have I think Page Building 101 is over 50,000 views, right? Not all collectively, all the video. I think about. I don't know. I don't know how the numbers all work, but a lot of people have watched Page Building 101. I get lots of emails. I get lots and lots and lots of emails, and it's literally I was using Elementor. Now I'm on bricks, right? I think people don't realize how many people got converted to bricks specifically because of Page Building 101. Hordes and hordes of people. That shouldn't go without saying. But they email me I've never been more inspired to do this work than I am now. I'm actually now learning things. This is amazing. This feels so good. This is the gist of all the emails that come into my inbox. Turn off these styling panels. So we want a hero, we want an inner. We want probably a content wrapper. Probably a heading and some text. We probably also want an image. I threw in some dummy stuff in here. Probably want to wrap that in yeah, Brave. Yeah, thanks. How about forever? How about allow me to right click Brave? Thank you. How about we wrap this in a div? We'll call this a featured image wrapper. Call this a featured image. Put that in a figure tag instead. Maybe we'll throw in a link. Call this a scroll link or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't really matter. It's going to go to some section down below on the page. I'm actually thinking, this is going to have to be an icon, right? So I'm just going to drop a span in here, and that's going to say scroll to content. We're going to hide that because, accessibility is important. We'll call this the icon for the link. Let's go ahead and grab that icon, the little down icon. We'll strip the color attributes out of it. Okay, so this is going to be the label. Get a scroll link, and just for BIM purposes, scroll link label. A lot of people ask me about this, by the way. How do you handle nested things where you have a label and a link inside a scroll link, but if I BIM it from the top, it's just going to say some random link label or something? No. You just repeat the name of the thing that's the parent. So scroll link label, scroll link, icon. See, now they're all naming wise will be associated with each other automatically. And you don't need, BIM is only 2 levels. It's only ever the block and the element. There's never other levels to it, okay? Just keep it simple. All right, so I've got a content wrapper with heading and text. We need that to be an H1 since this is a hero. We need this to be a lead. And then I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to say Lorem 20. Okay? I'm going to right click, create BIM classes. So all my classes are created. All my things are named. I can start on structure. Let's get back on the chat for a second. Why isn't everything called a container? I'm so confused. This is a nod to the fact that Elementor doesn't have any semantic elements. It doesn't have a section or anything else. It just has generic containers that are used for essentially everything. Someone sent an emergency. Hold on, I got some caffeine ginseng gum or some shit right here. There we go. I'm a little dejected, honestly. Right? That takes a lot out of you. Takes a lot out of you. We want the Comic Sans. These are the people I can't stand. Nobody's being mocked. People refuse to see until you fucking show them. Sometimes you got to grab people by the hair. You got to point their face at the evidence and be like, do you see it? Or are we both looking at the same time? So that I know you saw it. Because I'm tired of them pretending. This is years of pretending that this is not happening. So we got to just grab somebody, point them at the evidence and be like, you see this too, right? We both have eyes. They're working, right? Okay, let's stop denying that this is happening. It's very simple. It's not about mocking. Not about mocking. It's just about, I'm done living in La La Land. I'm done entertaining the fairy tales. There's a lot of ways to do this. Getting pretty close. Getting pretty close. Don't need a lot of, don't need 80,000 containers. Just a little bit of the thing that everybody wants to avoid. Just sprinkle a little. Sorry, we're not allowed to use code. Not allowed to know things. That would be too difficult. Knowing things will be too difficult. Classes, oh, that's so slow. How long are you gonna take doing all those classes? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. You can even do a little to-rim function in here if you want to. Something like that, you know? I'll do a little relative on that. A little absolute on this. We'll position that in just a second. Let it hang out there for a little bit. Take a look at the front end. Getting close. How are we going to do that box effect? Remember, this has got to go off to the side. I can tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to try to put a box next to it and make them both the same fixed pixel height and try to keep those linked up somehow. I'm not doing any of that. because there are better techniques in the world. You just have to not be the enemy of knowing. I was told this would take for fucking ever. Kind of behaves pretty well throughout the entire range until we want to do something different to it. Let's maybe position this little icon over here. Always use math. Math helps. I don't even know if variables work in here. Well, you don't need them actually. Bam. You would do it right here. Now that I know the icon size, I can go 100% minus the icon size. Will that calc for me? There we go. Divided by 2. Probably put the same one right here. Perfect. Bang. Now I can change this and it'll stay in position. Let's leave it like that. I was told this would take way too long. Kevin, profitability is important. We can't be spending all that time in these highly technical tools, doing all your cute little classes and variables. We got money to make, Kevin. Time is money. Want to throw in some media queries? What do we want to do? Maybe it gets to about here. Let's just stack it. I mean, once you're covering up the vast majority of the image is not super valuable anymore. Feels like maybe there, I don't know. We should just stack it or something. Throw a little media query in here. Remember what we did before to position this. Grid 1 over -1. And that's actually just the max inline size. Go back to 100% and maybe just take that before pseudo element and kill it. And maybe decide that it goes grid row 2. And then we're going to take this one. Go media query in here. Say your grid column 1 to everything, 1 to the end. Little gap in here we don't need. Maybe at this point, you definitely put a control on the aspect ratio. Holy smokes. Now we have a icon position size problem here. What do we want to do with that? Let's go right here. First, let's change the size. Drop it down to maybe 40, something like that. And then go inset, inline start of 50%. Change to ultra dark. Change its Z-index. Translate it back to the center. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Man. Well, I just don't know how we're going to make money doing this kind of work, guys. Just don't know. Nobody could ever make a living doing outlandish things like this. So slow. Clearly a worse outcome that we've arrived at. Who wants to arrive at semantic HTML? Calculated position elements? Maintainability, scalability, accessibility, performance out of the box. You just have to not be the enemy of knowing. That's why I said in the very beginning, I don't care where you are at. All I care about, whether you're willing to, are you a friend of knowing or are you an enemy of knowing? And are you leading others to be a friend of knowing or are you leading others to be an enemy of knowing? That is the only distinction that matters. I don't care how good you are or if it's day one or day 1,000. I just care if you're a friend of knowing or an enemy of knowing. That's it. Let's take some questions. Hashtag Q. I'm just browsing the chat real quick. Container queries are the future. But if you have a hero section is not going to be stuffed into a smaller container anytime soon. A hero section is being that it is a section, it responds to the device. So it doesn't matter whether you use a container query or a media query. If you are building something that is going to be taken out of its context and placed into a different context, perhaps maybe out of a grid and into a sidebar, container queries. Any type of internal component, you're probably going container queries. Any section-wide thing that you're building, it's already touching the edges of the device. It's not going to be stuffed into any other small container. That's when you use a media query. Remember when I said it's a container query first workflow in the sense that the minute I start building cards, container queries. The minute I start building CTA blocks, container queries. The minute I start doing a whole lot of things, container queries, where previously we never had container queries. That is the new workflow. That was never to say that you will never use a media query. I think if you go back and literally watch the video and just listen carefully, you will hear me say, I'm not saying you will never use media queries. But again, a lot of people do fast forward a lot of my videos, but then they just, instead of fast forwarding and going, he probably said that somewhere, I just fast forwarded a lot. They're like, I never heard you say that. Well, okay, Dan, you fast forwarded a lot. So once again, hello, right? I just want people, just say things that make sense. Stop saying things that don't make sense. It's so irritating. It's so irritating. This is correct right here. Okay, I'm going hashtag Q. All right. Nick D is on a live right now. Why did you schedule your live at the same time? Well, I didn't know that. Big Nick D fan though. But I was confused when I first read your comment because I don't know how much of a fan are you? How much of a fan are you, Giaz? Because Nick doesn't have a K in it. Nick does not have, that Nick D does not have a K. But good question. Good question. I love it. 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 Tomia Studio. How is this different to building a website with ACSS frames and bricks? Someone could do so by changing some settings and not touching or knowing a line of code. I don't know what you're asking. You asked it again. Someone could wipe out a website in hours without touching a line of code by just flicking a few switches in ACSS. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Literally, this is why ACSS and Etch don't have free versions or trials or sandboxes for the general public. It doesn't make any sense. You have to, like, we literally tell people with ACSS, hey, there's a learning curve. Hey, you're going to have to go through the learning curve, but then you're going to be way better off. You can't free trial it. You can't dick around in it. You have to be aware of the system, learn the system, buy into the system. Like, I want you to see, how about this? How about you watch 10 videos or 5 videos or whatever, and then decide if you want to buy. It's nonsensical to just give some rando a sandbox for Etch or for automatic. Like, do you know what you're doing? Because it's not magic. What it does is it speeds up a professional workflow. So if you want to do things faster without compromise, these are the tools you use. But if you don't know what you're doing, the tool is not going to magically guide you. You're not going to open up the demo and be like, whoa, I'm so empowered. You're just going to feel lost as you would be anywhere else. So it's, but we tell people that up front, right? We tell people that up front. When people, can I demo at? No, you can't demo it. Can I demo ACE? No. Watch a few videos and then you will know whether you want to buy it or not buy it. And then you will make one of those 2 actions. But there's like this idea that like a demo would be helpful. Now, if you know, and you want to demo it, different story. But we're not putting that out for public. Like, just any Joe Schmo can dive into, because they're not going to connect the appropriate dots. They're going to go in, they're going to go, oh, this is so complicated, I don't know what I'm doing. Which, by the way, they would say at day 1 of Elementor. They would say that, same conclusion day 1 of Elementor, but their brain can't fire the proper synapses to realize, oh, I just don't know what I'm doing in any of these tools. So they're all going to be difficult. So why am I doing a demo again? I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I should learn some things. Then I'll know what I'm doing, and then I can properly assess whether a tool is a good tool or not, right? Some reason that doesn't compute in the general brain that's scurrying around the planet. How much of these bad practice influencers is Elementor affiliate money? All of them. Literally all of them. I don't know one that isn't. All of them. I remember, you know how many people call me a snake oil salesman and a charlatan and a this and a that and a this and a that, but they don't have a single fucking thing to say to all these people, obviously cashing affiliate checks, obviously not knowing what they're doing, obviously leading 240,000 people astray. I'm the guy, I'm the target, hello? Do you understand like why this is so irritating? It is gaslighting of the highest fucking order. That's why it is angering, because being gaslit is not fun. Being gaslit is not cool. That's what this is. And I am not the kind of person who's going to be like, wow, you think I'm going to look around and be like, oh, it must be me. When I have eyes, my brain functions. I'm not a victim. I'm not controllable. I'm not whatever this bullshit tactic y'all use on other people, that doesn't work on me. I'm impervious to that shit. And I don't care what you think about me at the end of the day. And I'll say what needs to be said, regardless of whether it has a financial gain or a financial loss. I'm impervious to your bullshit. So stop gaslighting me or I will get on a live stream and we'll let everybody know what the actual reality is. That's what's happening. Because it is insanely manipulative, the things that these people say. Okay, there's not many questions. I'm just going to go back to the chat. The chat was livelier. I do have hair. I didn't for a while. The reason I didn't was because I shaved it. For jujitsu, for general athletics, for I don't care. I shaved my head for a long time, for like 10 years. But I did recently grow it back. But I do have... It exists. It's a terrible mess. But I do have hair. I like the chat. How long have we been going, by the way? Just under 2 hours. How are you not a fan of Nick D? Dude, that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Nick D is where it's at. I thought there would be more trolls in the chat, honestly. They seem to follow me fucking everywhere else. And this stream was scheduled ahead of time. Hey, I will style. Give me a chance to style it. Hey, hold on. Give me a chance to style it. It's not that bad. It's terrible once I literally woke up and put a hat on. That does not equate to like good hair day. Okay. You got to give me one chance to style it up. And then we can decide. Then we can decide. I thought that was a given. But I don't, literally, I don't, I just, the idea of spending my time doing hair, like, I think it's so many better things to do in life. I literally only do it when I absolutely have to. Like if I was going to go to a wedding or something, like, all right, okay. All right, y'all made me do it. Yeah, I'll put a little style in it. I won't wear the hat. Okay? But this is a great question. We'll end on this. Oh, I know. Hold on. I'll come back to you, Edward. I'll come back to you. This is a bug that primary is not available in the list. I don't even think it's in the list at all. I don't think it's, I think it just got left out. Oh no, it is. It's at the very bottom. Okay. It's just a bug. But you're 100% right. It should come, that should obviously be the first suggestion. I don't know why it's ordered that way. But it'll be fixed for V1 for sure. Cause it's, I've noticed it a million times. It should obviously be fixed. So, let's see. Where did Edwards' comment go? Okay, we'll end on this because I think this is it's a good question. Why do you think most detractors don't have arguments but throw insults and ad homs? I think it's a very simple thing. You cannot defend an indefensible position. And instead of, so, I mean, they can't have logical arguments. They can't, there's no defense of an indefensible position. We literally just watched it. This is the outcome of their philosophy. This is the outcome. And we just watched that it is not faster and it is not easier. And it's actually was faster and easier to just know how to do it. Like to just know the techniques and implement the systems and the workflows and the processes. Right? So it's no surprise that if I don't have logical arguments, what do I have to go to? I have to go to emotional arguments. So, and that often is like, oh, boo-hoo, crocodile tears. I can't believe you're calling this person out. That's one of them, right? Another one is, oh, it doesn't even matter. These standards, this stuff you're talking about doesn't even matter. Clients don't even care, Kevin. Clients don't even care. Like, this is stuff that's obviously not the case, which I already covered, in that if clients didn't care, then you could just disclose to them that you don't know what you're doing and that you use corner cutting tools and practices, and that at the end of the day, you won't really be able to diagnose any issues that arise with scalability or maintainability or anything else. But they won't. So they right? That is the evidence that clients do care. The evidence that clients care is that they would not tell them the truth. Because if they don't care, just tell them. Why don't you disclose that? And so I won't go away. I won't be like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. They probably don't care. Yeah, that's right. Let's move on. Yeah, you're right. I won't agree to live in the fairy tale. And that irritates them. That they just shut up and pretend that what we're saying is real. It's actually in a lot of areas of society today. And it's like, no, I'm not going to pretend. Not going to pretend. And then they start attacking because that's all they have left. So yeah, but that's a good question. Page Building 101 for Etch will start in January. Too many holidays coming up, too much travel coming up, too much. I'm just going to be in and out. So January, we will buckle down and we will start putting out Page Building 101 Era 4 for free on this channel. Yes, not only are the best practices faster, they are more fun to learn. And it is also more fun to be empowered and to know that you can arrive at solutions for things and know that you can actually consult. And it feels good to use real tools. It doesn't feel good to use Fisher-Price tools. It does not feel good. You can pretend it does. It doesn't. At some point, you start to realize, man, this is a little bit of a toy. It's a little bit of a gimmick. It's a little bit of a cover story, you know? Okay, I got to get out of here. I don't know. I hope this stuff came off the way that I hoped. And like I said, don't be mean to people. Don't attack people. Don't laugh at people. Just encourage the principles. We are on the correct side. We don't need any shenanigans. We don't need any nonsense because we are on the side of reality. So none of the nonsense is needed. Okay? See ya.